Thank you all. Merry Christmas, season's greetings and good tidings to all of you. Welcome to Club Prairie Fire, Season 9, Episode 8. Once again, we are true lovers of tequila, tabasco and the Duckworth Lewis Stern System. You know that already. I don't need to keep going over it, but for some reason I do. This episode, I am calling everyone just chill out. It's bloody Christmas. Yes. Tensions are at an all-time here in Australia. They're an all-time high here in Australia. I don't know about anyone else, but I'm finding it really hard to get into the Christmas spirit. Just yesterday, while I was smoking my ham and basting my turkey, rather than thinking about feelings of joy, generosity, and goodwill to others, I found my mind wandering to this very pesky Border Gavaskar series. Look, it's almost too much drama to stomach at this time of year, I'll be honest. A series poised on a knife's edge at one test apiece. Aussie quick, Josh Hazlewood sustaining another injury. The Professor, Ashwin, shock retirement out of nowhere. None of us saw it coming. A gaggle of Aussie Journos in Melbourne who had the nerve not to understand Jadeja's Hindi in a presser. Come on, guys. And most dramatic of all is King Kohli getting into it with the media throng outside the airport. The nerve of them to put a camera on the most famous cricketer in the world. What were they thinking? Goodness me. Pour me a very bloody stiff sherry. Unbelievable. The only thing that well and truly restored my festive cheer was that those wonderful companies, they bent the hopeless bombs over by 423 runs. Stooksy. That's all I can say. Hippie Christmas. Right. So to two gents who love test match drama more than anybody I've ever met. Goodness me, they love it. It's Adam Gilchrist and Michael Vaughan. Welcome, gents. Merry Christmas. Let's start with you. Vaughany, you've got the Christmas hat on. How is the spirit?
Yeah, the spirit's good. Thanks, bro. It's been a good few days. Been a big bash. Been some good games in the bash. That was nice, particularly the game at was it the NG Stadium? I thought it was at the SCG. I was going to the wrong ground, but I ended up out at the Olympic Park. That was a good game of cricket. Had a day on the water yesterday. I've got a luncheon down at Watson's Bay today, which will be nice. And Tyson Fury got robbed. That's my summary of the last few days.
Gilly, everybody knows you in cricket as the ultimate diplomat. Have they sent you in to ease tensions between the Indian camp and the Aussie camp?
Yeah, good shout.
No. Well, first of all, Tyson Fury schmurry. Like a couple of times he's had a crack at that, and a couple of times he's walked home a loser. So stop whinging, you pom. But
you do realise, Gilly, that Tyson's family are travellers and they have a lot of family members, and they've probably got a few in Perth.
Right. I don't reckon I'm high on his list to come and hit. But look, no, I haven't been sent in to be the diplomat. Not at all. They're big boys. They can sort it out. But the fuse has been lit, and what's going to make it even all the more dramatic is come Boxing Day, it's going to be 40 degrees in Melbourne. So watch that ignite.
Gilly, just out of interest, have you been told by Fox to just sharpen up on the Hindi? Because pre-match we generally get an Indian player, and we might have to start asking them a few questions in Hindi.
Yeah. Up can care here. That's about all I got. But so that's
Sounds
what's
good
your
to
name.
me.
That's what your name. But once we know that, it's going to be a short conversation. So
well, you just go, thank you very much, and walk off.
Yeah, volatile. That's what it all is. Seems like it's a bit volatile within the Indian camp, with the sharp resignation or retirement of Ashwin. I tell you what though, I can't remember as many deep and meaningful tribute pieces afforded to any cricketer on social media as what there has been for Ashwin. They're very, we know he's a professor. He's a philosopher.
He's not the real professor though, is he?
No,
he's on the show.
I know. He's India's professor.
That's right.
But yeah, very deep and meaningful, and that's him, isn't it? Very thoughtful man, and they've been quite beautiful to watch and heartfelt. And I thought his little press conference was excellent when he announced it.
It was good, yeah. Gilly, of all the messages that you've seen from Ashwin, about Ashwin, who's been like the most prominent, the most heartfelt?
There's been so many. Obviously, Sachin I liked his one. I liked Ashwin's post where he put, 25 years ago, if you told me that I had this call list on my phone, and I think he had a missed call from Sachin and and who else was on there?
Apple Dev was on there.
Apple Dev was on there.
Apple, yeah, Debbie, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really nice to see how genuinely humbled he is by it all and the journey he's been on, because he's been a disruptor, wasn't he? He was a proper disruptor to modern thinking and what everyone feels should happen. I mean, to retire out strategically in a T20 game, that was all a bit new. He bought the bowler's end run out, or the man cat as we used to know.
Yeah, he's the king of the modern man cat. He's owned that, which is a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Is there anything better than when you retire as well, and there is a bit of people aren't seeing it coming and that sort of stuff, and there's a few questions raised around why that happened, than when your old man decides to weigh in and your dad just jumps on and says, "Oh, look, it's because he was humiliated." I mean, I can't tell you how many times in situations where my dad has weighed into something and I've gone, "Just shut up, Dad. That's you don't need to be involved." Have either of you ever had a moment where your father's jumped in and?
I tell you what before the father bit, when you say isn't it amazing seeing a player retire when people are saying why rather than why not? Well, I can't remember when that last happened, Prof. Like seriously, we don't see that in the modern day. We go and we go and we go. So, but no, my old man, no, I don't think so not in any major public manner anyway. Maybe it's more behind closed family lines.
Now, Ollie, it is time to bring you in. I've just missed you out. I apologise. You are in some tropical destination, and you are very integral to this podcast. Please come in. Tell us what you're doing.
Are you at another wedding, Ollie?
No, weddings are done. Sister's last weekend emceed that when she didn't ask me to, so that went well. And we actually stuck in around a golf on her wedding day. Didn't tell her, and her husband got in so much shit. I announced it at the wedding. He said they were just popping out for half an hour of pickleball. So that went really well, as you can imagine. Started that off well. We played 9 holes. But yeah, Hamilton Island, it is rained, 300 millimetres of rain in the last 48 hours. So we haven't seen today, blue sky. Very excited. Just on that dad chat, did throw back a couple of things. One, it's rugby, but there was a player called Emmanuel Haranordaki who was playing for Biarritz. He gets in a little scrap and his dad jumps out of the ground, out of the stand, and just starts piling into the opposition to defend his son, which is one of the great French rugby videos. And the other dad reference we have to notice is it's to do with Ashwin, and it's because I think he's retired. He's scared of the generational player that is Jacob Bethel. And obviously his dad played with Vaughany. So there's the father, or Coach Vaughany was it? Yeah, coached. So
Captain Dolly. It was my captain, Graham Bethel. Yeah.
Was he also a generational talent, or just Jacob?
He was a generational rum drinker. Yeah, he was outstanding. Outstanding with the straight rums on ice. Beautiful.
The other interesting father scenario is if you've seen recently the Australian sprinting sensation, young 16-year-old.
Gout. We love him.
What?
Yeah, well, the father's come out and called him. No, said no, they've got it wrong. What is it? Gwat. And then the athletics coach gone, sorry, you're wrong to the father. It's gout. So,
so they handed over, didn't they, certificate. And he spelt it wrong. So it's OU, not UO. So they've gone, he's now gout, not got. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Ollie, just a question on you 2024. Out of interest, how many weddings have you been to?
I think it was 14 invited, 11 made in 5 countries.
That's a good effort. 11 out of 14 is pretty good.
See if you can flip that dynamic in the next 12 months. So only get 11 invites and a 10-14. That's much more.
Funny you said there was one where I only got invited on the stag do or bucks party, but I didn't get the wedding call up, which I think is the ultimate insult or compliment, depending how you look at it.
I would say that is the ultimate invite.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the wedding days are pretty boring, aren't they? You want to go on the stag trip.
Yeah. I got told too fun for the wedding.
Have you seen the movie 27 Dresses, Ollie? There is a male version happening right in front of our eyes. It's magnificent. Now, let's get into our very important CATO stuff, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Well, it's Christmas, which means one thing: Boxing Day Test match, which can only mean Melbourne. And this week it's Gilly, and it's a story from ideally an Ashes on or off the field during the Boxing Day Test match. It might be 40-degree heat, though I don't know if we've ever seen that, but it's thanks to CATO, Cricket Australia Travel Office, who are teeing it up this week. So, what have you got for us?
Oh, Boxing Day Ashes. All I think of when I think of Boxing Day Ashes is Matthew Hayden charging the likes of Matthew Hoggard, I reckon even Steve Harmison, certainly Chalky White, and absolutely creaming the first session of a Boxing Day Test, and the big hulking frame of Haydos just strutting down and whacking them back over their head, hitting the top of the fence down in front of Bay 13 on the full. That's my everlasting memory of an Ashes Boxing Day Test match, because let's face it, I didn't really get any runs in any Boxing Day Test matches. I certainly didn't get any against England, but no, actually, that's now that I really think about it, there's one moment and one moment only, and all I got to say is 700. Leave it at that.
Yeah, that was a nice afternoon for Shane, wasn't it? In front of a full house to get Andrew Strauss, the posh lad from England, out at 700. I'll tell you that you mentioned Craig White. I was playing with Chalky White when Hayden was bullying the England attack, and I always remember I think he gets 100, but he gets to mid-afternoon, and we went for the 7-2 offside field tactic. There was just a little bit of reverse swing tail, and Chalky was bowling 90 miles an hour. I was at mid-on, so I'm one of the two on the onside. So there's probably got me at mid-on, and I think we had a straightish mid-wicket. And our tactic was to dangle it wide outside off stump to Matthew Head and try and get him driving through the offside with packed, and hopefully we're going to get a catch. Craig White ran into bowl. He bowled a 92 miles an hour reverse swinger, the perfect delivery. Hayden drop kicked it over my head into the stand for 6. As Craig White, I had to get the ball from, I think it was in the Barbie Army. The Barbie Army threw it back to me, and I've run up, there you go, Chalky. And Chalky just looked at me and goes, "Oh, that's my best ball."
Yeah, well, no, that was he dominated there, but I think you've got to roll with the King 700, best seat in the house. Biggest noise. Think the biggest noise that I've heard that I've been on a cricket field for. It was a roar and a half, and then off Vaughany went. Couldn't catch him. Could not catch him. Fastest he's ever moved on a cricket field.
So good. Yeah, cricket.com.au/travel. Just a few weeks in January, they're on sale. And I would say Melbourne will probably be the most popular one to get your hotels, tickets, special events, everything else, thanks to CATO for those travelling, because there are lots of famous moments at the Melbourne Boxing Day Test.
Very good. Thank you all. Gents, you have just finished up your time on this third test. I tell you, your predictions are going very well so far, because I'm pretty sure both of you predicted one match drawn. Have I got that right?
Yep.
You both said one would get rained out.
Yeah, we didn't think it was going to be Brisbane, though.
No, you were thinking Sydney.
More thinking Sidders, but I think the weather in Sydney, I mean, it's beautiful at the minute. I think it's going to stay that way. So 3-1, 2-2, it's looking pretty good. Whoever said 3-1 is looking pretty good.
I said every combination.
Yeah, you're covered, Gilly. You're going to get it right. Whatever happens now, you'll. I think you didn't say 5-0, so that went early, didn't it?
Yeah, that struck that off. There's a number of permutations that have already been dismissed, but there's a number that are still alive and kicking.
I think you're going to get this spot on, Gil.
I think I'm a bit like WinViz. I won't be wrong at the end.
No. Yeah. By the way, what a load of bollocks WinViz is. Can we get a bit of chat on WinViz?
Yes.
What's a load of garbage? Not having it.
No, I know you've had a problem with WinViz for a long time, Vaughany. I remember.
Yeah. Well, just back on Tyson Fury. What I liked about Tyson's, after he didn't do a presser in the ring, he ran off, he disappeared, and then he did a presser, and he wasn't happy with AI, because now they have an AI system that gives the results through what they see, and I don't know how it works, and it goes into a system. And AI had Usyk winning quite clearly. So Tyson Fury said something to the drift of something like, "AI is a load of bollocks. We need humans. We need humans to stay in work. Humans are better than any robots. And by the way, electric cars can fuck off as well." I, I, I don't know where electric cars came into the AI judging system, but he doesn't like electric cars either.
Just a stray bullet for electric cars. A few things to come out of that test match. The follow-on, avoiding the follow-on. Akash Deep coming in 11, needing 32 runs. I mean, is that going – do you think that is going to be a massive point in this series? Do you think that we could look back at that and think, well, that's where India saved it and managed to go on and win it?
No, I don't think they'd have had enough play on the last day.
Mm.
I think the weather was always going to intervene. But you look at that partnership, and the tactics that Australia went for, which was very much a pre-planned tactic against the tail. They had 2 balls out of 55 on that 4th evening that were going to hit the stumps. They decided to go for the bouncer theory and spread the field. And Akash Deep and Jasprit Bumrah played great. So that was the celebrations from the Indian camp
Yeah.
to avoid the follow one. I mean, they're a team that just in Australia seem to find a way of getting a draw. They did it in Sydney the previous tour. And then they go on and win a game. And in Melbourne, where in the last 3 times they've played, they've drawn 1-2. You can kind of understand why they were celebrating. So, I mean, they were a bit over the top in the celebrations for avoiding the follow one. They're not kind of got out of that game situation yet, but you feel it was a big moment for the Indian side, and Australia just didn't quite get the tactics right.
Vaughany, just on that, the reaction of the Indian side, it reminded me of, I'm trying to think as an opponent, observing that, what you can take from it and how much you can or need to, or if you need to at all, read into it. I'm thinking back to Old Trafford in 05 when we held on for that draw. Albeit saving a test is a bit different to just avoiding the follow-on, because that's not the end of the game, the follow-on component. You can still possibly lose that test match. But what did you make of us? Because we were celebrating that like a win, which was very odd for our generation of players to be reacting like that to the fact that we didn't lose one.
Yeah, I mean, I had never seen it. So, the psyche in I guess me as the captain was to say to the team, just look at the Aussies are celebrating a draw. I've never seen that before. So we keep playing in this fashion. I think we've got them where we want them. The hardest thing is to keep playing in the same fashion. And I reckon if Australia continue to play 85% of what we've seen in Adelaide or in Brisbane, I think they've got the better of India. The difficulty for Australia is, as we saw in Perth, and because of India's experience here and know how to just kind of turn up, particularly in Melbourne, India only need to win one of the last 2 games. And that Border Gavaskar Trophy is on its way back to India with the Indian side. And I'm intrigued to see how Melbourne's first day goes, because that's for me the most. If Australia win the first day in Melbourne, I think they're going to win the series 3-1. India have to try and get back on the horse of playing well, because the Adelaide Oval, India were nowhere. Brisbane, let's be honest, they were nowhere. In the field in particular, they looked very flat. The tactical side wasn't quite right, and with the bat in hand, how many innings have they had now in the series? 5, of which 4 of them they've been pretty much blown away. They've had 1 good innings out of 5. And if that continues and that trend of their batting continues, Australia are going to win the series. But, when you look at Rohit Sharma, Jaiswal, Virat Kohli, Shubman Gill, Jadeja came in and played well. They certainly have the talent and the expertise to go and get a big score and 350, 400. And if they can do that in Melbourne, I think they'll find a way of getting Australia out. The difficulty is for India, how are they going to find a way of getting that big number against this Australian attack, particularly. You look, Scott Boland at the MCG, I think he averages 10. So he's going to be perfectly suited for that ground. Intrigued. I honestly think whoever wins day 1 will win the series. That's how I'm going to put my prediction on the line now. It's Australia win that first day. I think they'll go back to the thought process of Adelaide and Brisbane. India have to win that first day in Melbourne.
Pretty big toss coming up.
Yeah. Does the 40 degree heat? I mean, obviously they'll be consulting their meteorologists before they walk out. You're batting no matter what. You don't even
got
look at the pitch, Vaughany?
Well, you've got about 40-degree heat. I mean, you've. I mean, I haven't seen the pitch, and I'm sure it'll have a bit of. But surely you got a bat. I wouldn't dare go up to my bowlers and say, "Phew, I'll tell you what, lads. I reckon this is the day for bowling. Get plenty of sunscreen on. Take a bit of liquid on board.
This is
You
it.
know,
We've got 'em.
have an
The
apple and a
team,
pear. Let's get out there and have a crack."
yeah, the team meteorologist can have as big a Christmas day as he wants and Christmas night. He is not required on Boxing
No, he's
Day.
not. Yeah,
You're
you're
not
right. He doesn't
taking
need
him
to go
out
to
for
Melbourne.
advice on Boxing Day at 40 degrees.
Yeah, he could come to Sydney.
So let's say, I mean, we're talking about McSweeney and his trial by fire going in against Bumrah. I think you likened it to defending Lionel Messi.
Mm.
Let's say Australia wins the toss and we decide to bat. They send in, from all reports, young Constas, who is he 19 years old?
Yeah, he's
19 years
19.
old.
Yeah.
So his first day of Test cricket might be walking out to 90,000 people at the MCG in 40-degree heat to face Jasprit Bumrah. Um, is that an easy one, Gilly? Would you have revelled in that back in the day?
Easy, mate. He'll be looking for a proper challenge after that. Get through this series, he'll look for a proper challenge. I tell you what, yeah, sometimes Sri Lanka against their spinners in Sri Lanka can be just as challenging. So that's the next assignment. But no, he's got to get there first. He's got to get his cap. It looks, in all likelihood, that the way it shapes up, he'll be at the top of the order. Whenever he walks out there, we know how bloody tough it's going to be. But he sounds like he's up for it. He's sounding in his comments and questioning in the press that he's ready to have a go, not in an arrogant way. I'm really impressed with the way he's talking and handling himself, and equally impressed by Nathan McSweeney and the manner with which he's handled his dumping and responded in kind with a little man of the match, get the Brisbane Heat home in the Big Bash in his first available opportunity. So. But that it's not just a bloke on day. The bloke on debut is probably the one that's under least pressure in that Australian batting lineup coming Boxing Day. He can go out there with no backstory. It's all in front of him. There's a lot going on for the rest of it, maybe save for Travis Head. I just can't remember a period of time where probably any batting lineup, let alone the Australian batting lineup, has such a large sample size of low numbers of a top, let's say top six, but one outlier being Travis Head. It really is extraordinary how that again, using the example of the Australians, they've managed to get results that they've achieved with just one out, like lone wolf innings, and then so much carnage around them. So it feels like it's coming to a really big head. It's coming up, it's building, something's got to give. They've got to click, and they may well do, or something's going to happen and players are going to have to get let go. It feels like, and they're very aware of that. You don't have to be Ravi Ashwin, the cricketing professor, to be able to anticipate that and know it. Maybe that's why he left. He says he might have thought it's getting ugly. It's going to get ugly for everyone. And both teams, there's probably a few players in both teams that careers are on the line in the next two games.
Now, we all saw, and we chatted about it at the top, we all saw this, I'm going to call it a press mess, where they sent in Jadeja to, speak to the press. He answered, I think it was 9 minutes in Hindi, where he only answered the Indian press, and then he had to catch a bus. And we've all been late for a bus and you've missed it, and then you're late for work and you get in trouble off the boss. I get it. I want to get your take on it, guys. I mean, Vaughany, I think you've already said it's great for the game, adding a bit of spice. We love this. I guess, Vaughany, you have been out here. You've been under pressure. You've had to answer the Australian press. Did you ever just look out, decide, look, I'm just answering the English today, and I'm going to do it in Cockney rhyming slang so that none of the Aussies understand?
Yeah, I tell you what, you need Brett Lee for that kind of press conference. He's outstanding with his rhyming slang. Oh, I just think it adds to a huge amount of drama in the series. India are a powerhouse, and they clearly feel that. I'm guessing the cameras at the airport and filming families is just a step too far. and this is their way of reacting. It adds more drama to me. I mean, there are AI systems that you can translate Hindi into English. So if they're not willing to speak in English, Australian, well, just put it into the system and it'll come out as English Australian or Cockney rhyming slang. And you just quote Jadeja in what comes out in AI. Might not be the same, but it'd be quite funny. I like a little bit of spice in the series. I loved Mohammed Siraj and Travis Head. I guess Rabi Ashwin retirement. I didn't like him retiring because I love watching him bowl. I'd like to have seen him carry on for a bit long. I think he's still got a bit to give. But what Jadeja did in the Indian, I like the press officer from the Indian side. I think he's a guy that's been around a while. We've had issues with him in the UK, and I always look down and I love the way that he just deals with the press. He just tells them to go away, go away. He's not interested. Got a bus to catch. I don't think they've got buses, by the way. I think they've got cars. So I think that's a lie. I'm pretty sure that they don't go on a double-decker bus back to the hotel. I think
Yes.
they're in quite cool cars, but I like the drama. I like what it's bringing. As if the MCG Boxing Day test needed any more drama leading into it when there's not a spare seat in the house, and you've got two teams. As Gilly mentioned, you've got two batting lineups that are so vulnerable, and you've got two bowling attacks. Well, you've got a bowling attack from Australia that's world class, and you've got one bowler from India that's potentially the greatest that we've ever seen. So bring it on.
Gilly, what would have happened in reverse? 04, you guys are over in India, you're captain, and you go to a press conference and basically, I don't know, answer in Australian, and then refuse the journos. Like, what would the reaction in India have been like? Would
If
it be?
someone had been, given it's the festive season and there's lots going on, there's Christmas shopping and there's, islands to visit, like called Rottnest, and there's beverages to be had, and you're sort of switched off for a couple of days. If someone in the public did that and missed all this, what describe to them what happened exactly?
So, okay. So Adam, obviously, being the face of Fox Cricket, you're all over it.
Oh, mate, yeah. No,
not for
there's a
you.
listener out there that didn't see any of this.
No, obviously, and I get what you mean, mate. You're sorry, I didn't sum it up well enough for all our audience that didn't see it. So basically, what happened was there was, the mandatory press conference once the Indian side had reached the MCG for a practice session. They sent out Jadeja to talk to the press. There was, as you can imagine, many Australian journos gathered. They want the hot yarn. And Jadeja, I think it was 9 minutes. Ollie, you can look it up.
9 minutes 28 seconds.
9 minutes 28 seconds.
And he was 30 minutes late, wasn't he, as well?
30 minutes late. He only spoke to the Indian journalists, and he only spoke in Hindi. And then he left. And then the gentleman who Vaughany's very fond of, their press officer, basically said, go away. He had to get on the bus. He doesn't need to answer questions in English. He doesn't need to answer the Australian journalists. Which, Gilly, you've obviously already had your take on that, so I'm not coming to you for comment. Interesting. And this is what we talk about, all the spice. We all saw Virat at the airport with Natalie Unides, who I've worked with, who's absolutely lovely. I mean, she's the last person who should get a dressing down for filming the most famous cricketer in the world. But this is all leading into one thing, which is a spicy, fiery Boxing Day test in 40-degree heat, which we all love. So let me ask you this, gents. You've both played in these Boxing Day tests. Talk to me about Christmas Day. Is there like Kris Kringle between the players? Is there Kris Kringle between the teams? Did you ever get, Vaughany's name pulled out of a hat and you had to buy him some sort of gift? Is there anything like that?
Secret Santa.
Secret Santa. Any of that?
Would be a good idea.
Yeah, we used to have Secret Santa. I remember Funky Cole Miller, off spinner. He always said he wanted to have. He was never happy with his teeth. He wanted to get his teeth fixed up, veneered or whatever, get them, shiny and bright. Do whatever you got to do to them to make them so that he's comfortable with them. And he said, if ever I play a few test matches, get a few funds, I'm going to chuck it towards getting my teeth done, which he did do. And his teeth look fantastic. He's not the first person in the world to, look for cosmetic changes and so on. Anyway, he was really thrilled with them. And underneath the tree in the Kris Kringle, anonymous. So that's the thing. You're not allowed to say who it's from. We know that with. He opens up and it's a shoebox full of those teeth lollies. The ones that you put in your mouth. I reckon it was one of the great presents there. It was a beautifully suited to Funky Cole. But that's mornings. Go to the nets if you want. Optional training. This is the way we used to do it. Typically, families had the option of coming down too, so you had kids running around everywhere, and very light session, clearly, and just embrace all the spirit of it and share the experience of that. The festive season and the build up to what's the biggest day of cricket, on the global cricket calendar, almost, such as the focus on it. So that was us, and then go back, and then a big lunch. Massive feed, massive piss up, drink piss till about 3 a.m. and then have a crack the next day.
Was anybody ever dressed as Santa? Was there a chap in your team, maybe a Darren Lehman?
I remember.
Why'd you choose Darren
I don't
Lehman?
know why you choose a horse. I can't understand why. That's
jolly. He's very jolly.
My first year in my first Boxing Day test was 1999, and we were all in the team hotel waiting for our Christmas lunch, and they said, kids. We didn't have kids, but all the others that did have. Here comes Santa, and they'd obviously grabbed one of the staff member from the hotel. He was the skinniest, lankiest, scrawniest looking bloke ever, and he came in, and
Santa.
He's walked in, and the look of shock on his face when he realised that he was being Santa for the Australian cricket team, he absolutely shit bricks. His eyes went, and he froze, and it was possibly the worst effort at Santa Claus I've ever seen. And the kids were, like one of those movies, pulling, "You're not real," and pushing him and prodding him, and poor fella. And then, within 3 hours, he's back out the front bringing bags in at concierge for people. So it was a tough gig.
Oh, jeez. Vaughany, what did the travelling teams do? Did you have a similar sort of thing to Gilly?
We just chilled out down the ground, kids pissed about, just had a big feed. It's very similar, big feed, one or two too many. Always used to try and get an early night on Christmas night, just obviously in case I had to stroll out there and bat on Boxing Day. I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's an easy time for a player, because the festivities are all there, and you want to give the kids a great Christmas day, but your mind is on playing. Your mind is kind of making sure that you're hopefully going to produce some kind of magic on Boxing Day. And I'll be honest with you, I used to hate it. I used to hate the kind
You're
of
right.
the whole film, because we're playing, it's our jobs to go out there and try and play, and and everything around the day, and even the crowd on Boxing Day, they're so jovial, and rightfully so, but you're there to be trying to produce your skills and your job. I never ever enjoyed the lead up to Boxing Day. It was almost like I just wanted to get Boxing Day out of the way, and then it becomes a test match once again, because Boxing Day just never felt like a proper cricket day. Just felt like it was almost like I always felt it was like an exhibition day for the world of cricket to watch you go and produce your skill. But you had to, it's your job to do so. But no, once Boxing Day was out of the way, I always felt that it was back to being a test match.
I think that's a really good assessment, actually, Vaughany. It's almost like, and to your point about it's an exhibition and a fun day for everyone else, you need to put on that almost fake hustle of how enthusiastic about this festive season you are, where really you're just homed in on the result, trying to get out there and get a result. So it can be an awkward time for the players.
Yeah.
Not easy.
I think I read, this is years ago now as well, and I'm not fact checked it, but I think I remember also for England at that time, I think Ali Kirk, Marcus Trescothick, and Simon Jones all had their birthday on Christmas Day as well, didn't they? So in that side, you got 3 birthdays before the Boxing Day for the piss up, you can't get pissed. Very strange.
No, and how do you tell kids at the age of 4 to 7 or 8 that you're there to actually work? It's your job. And they're looking at you and go, "What do you mean it's your job? You're just playing cricket."
Yeah.
No, it's a difficult time, but I just know that as a like a touring player, you are desperate to do something in Melbourne. Desperate to just get an in. And it's not a selfish kind of thought. It's just that as an individual player, you just want to contribute to the Boxing Day Test match. It's
Is
a
that
very special game.
is that because you know that it's once every 4 years, same as Australian touring team going to Lords? That's your
I think so. And you just know that it's remembered forever. A Lord's Test
yeah,
match. If you get a ton at Lords or a fifer, people will always mention it. I don't know if there is there must be an honours board at the MCG. I've never seen it, but there must be
that's it.
one. And I think of all the grounds in the world, if for us, Lords is number one in terms of getting on the honours board. But I think MCG, SCG, these kind of grounds, Cape Town, Newlands, the real historic venues are the ones that you want to just individually produce a bit of magic.
Scarborough.
Scarborough, correct.
What night, guys? Is it?
Well, I don't think we'll be playing on a Tuesday, will we? Let's have a look. I don't think it's days, are we? That's a good text I've just had. Your table at Little Jack's is booked for 5 o'clock tonight. That's good.
I'll just add a missed call from
Confirmation.
the boss.
Now, gents, I'm happy to move on from Boxing Day and the Border Gavaskar series. Have you got anything else anybody wants to touch on?
Can I just say something about Nathan McSweeney?
Yes.
I think he's had the hardest start in Test cricket that I can remember in my time. To think that he's gone out to open the batting where it's not his position, to face Bumrah in Perth where it zipped, underlights in Adelaide, Brisbane, there was loads of rain and it was going all over the place, particularly for the first 20 odd overs. He will be back. I've seen enough to think that he'll be back. He'll be back in the middle. But I complete and sometimes in selection you have to pull people out. And I think if it had stayed in, it had done quite a lot of damage for him for potentially the future. I think by dragging him out, he'll be fine. He'll come back in the middle somewhere. And they're throwing in this young kid that I hope can play with the flamboyancy that I've seen in a few games. And that's probably what Australia need.
Same sentiment, Gilly?
Yes, yeah. Look, I agree. I think the way he responded in the Big Bash game shows his character, and it shows too that he's got the game. I think totally agree with how challenging it was for him in every scenario that he went out to bat in the Test matches that he played. But when he did find a way to survive 30 or 40 balls, he just needed to be able to go through the gears a little bit and show a bit more intent, a little bit more attack. So it would be a nice positive reinforcement for him by playing white ball cricket. And he's not the biggest hitter in the game, but he certainly's got an ability to put pressure back on the opposition. So yeah, that'll be part of his development. No, I agree. I think he's got the temperament and the technique, and we'll see him again.
There was one person who disagrees. I think in jest, there's been quite a lot of funny stuff on socials. Ronnie Lerner put out a tweet that went viral. I don't know if you saw this. I fully support the decision to drop McSweeney. 38-year-old Khawaja is the future of the Australian team. Need to get as many games into him as possible. McSweeney's washed up and done. Which got some love.
But I tell you what, Ollie, we kind of alluded to it earlier about two batting lineups that are under a bit of the gas. The whole spotlight now, once you drop a player, the new player comes in, he gets a free ride. Just for 2 or 3 games, it's a free hit. It's like a mulligan. All the spotlight this week will be on Usman Khawaja and Marnus Labuschagne.
Yep.
Mitchell Marsh at number 6. He's kind of just locked in a bit. There's no Cameron Green to put. I guess Bo Webster could put him under pressure, but he's got so much in the bank, Mitchell Marsh. He's fine. Usman Khawaja and Marnus Labuschagne, the spotlight is purely going to be on those two in Melbourne. And I guess if it doesn't go quite right in Melbourne, then there's even more spotlight on the SCG, and there'll be lots of questions. I guess particularly of Usman, who's 38. Is it time for him to move on after this series? Whatever happens, that'll be a debate. They go to Sri Lanka and the West Indies. I think there's 5 Test matches after this series before the Ashes. So that's why it's hard playing at this level, because the spotlight always transfers from player to player, and those 2 players this week, they're going to be the talking point.
Very, very good. Now, well, you might park India v Australia there and just touch very quickly on this England v New Zealand series. New Zealand getting it done.
We talked about that last week.
We didn't. We weren't on last week, Vaughany.
We talked about the fact that did we? Maybe that was the Maybe that was the big break shows that we were doing in Brisbane when it was raining all the time.
Probably. I'm assuming you did a lot of fill.
I'm happy to
Yeah.
move on. I think it's been well covered.
No,
Yeah,
I just want to bring up the fact that New Zealand pumped them by 423 runs. I don't want to get into it. I'm just
it was
saying what a
close.
wonderful day for Kiwi
It was close.
cricket.
It was closer than that, Professor. It could have been a lot closer. Yeah, it was
No,
close.
I'm reading it right here. I didn't watch any of it because obviously.
Well, you wouldn't watch a game of cricket that meant nothing because England had won the series. So why would you watch it?
Well, also, it's Christmas time here. I'm spending time with the kids and loved ones. I don't really want to waste my time with that. Anyway, congrats to New Zealand. Gents, Big Bash. Do we want to touch on that? Obviously, we are now 9 matches in. A couple of teams undefeated. Sixers. Heat, I want you to say right now who's going to win it.
Scorchers.
Scorchers?
Yeah, Scorchers are strong.
Get full strength. A couple of little injury niggles at the moment. They dropped a game the other day, but yeah, Scorchers and Sixers are going to be in the mix.
Yeah. Same again.
I think there's something about the Thunder. The Thunder can find a 6 bowling option. They've got a decent side, but the franchise system it's becoming a system where teams that are very consistent in the squads that they pick. Scorchers, a bit of change in the Scorchers this year, but they've got like a nucleus and a core of the same players, same management. Yeah, they'll be there or thereabouts. I can't think that the Stars are going to get the job done this year. Not from 3.
Yeah, they're very good at getting that wooden spoon, the Stars, despite being one of the biggest
I think
clubs.
they need to change the name. It's not working. Never has. Got to change the name. Well, I just call it Melbourne.
Melbourne United. There's a few of those.
Well, they're not
floating around.
stars, are they? Because you can only be a star if you've won things. So they just call it Melbourne.
Planets. Yeah. Uranus. Yeah. Fun.
My
Okay.
daughter's ringing me 1 minute.
What about the Melbourne Cricketers?
Hi, Jay.
Melbourne, second 11.
Melbourne second 11.
Hi, Jay.
Who are we talking to, Vaughany?
His
His daughter.
Oh, right. Very
Mum's
good.
getting a nice coffee from Melonhead. You are. Yeah, can you get me a muscle shaker from Melonhead? Muscle shaker. Muscle shake. One with banana, that's it. Yeah. Cheers, Jay.
The muscle shaker.
Yeah, get me a bit of protein. I need the muscles to grow. Cheers.
Like a buck strip.
Cheers.
Now, you guys obviously call both Test match and Big Bash. Is there a lot less pressure when you're sitting in the seat calling the T20s? We all know the difference between the actual call. We know you have a lot more fun when the DJ's going, when there's blokes hitting it here, there, and everywhere. Do you look forward to calling the Big Bash matches?
Just a different vibe, isn't it? Like I think everyone's going there with a different expectation, be it at the ground or when you flick it on TV. So, it helps. Vaughany and I did a game down at Geelong.
Good game. Good game.
An outstanding new grandstand. Well, it got opened during the winter. The Joel Selwood stand down there at whatever name letters are before it, Kadinia Park it used to be called, didn't it? But it was all set up very comfortable, beautiful. The only problem is we were 350 metres from the pitch.
Yeah.
We couldn't quite see what was going on out there.
Right.
You could not be further from the pitch, Vaughany, could you, in the broadcast area? It's such a long way out there. But the good thing is the game got done and dusted very quickly and we were able to get on the motorway back up to Melbourne.
So it's that long, thin ground, isn't it, down there?
It's the Cattery. It's the Cattery.
Yeah, so is the commentary box at one of the long ends, is it?
Right.
Yeah, it's a new stand, and it's kind of the stand kind of wraps around the oval long bit. So there was a ball hit down the ground away from us, and and it just kind of landed inside the rope at the far end. And I honestly always judge things on a golf hole, and I think that was a par 5 from where we were sat. It was a driver 3-wood to where that ball landed. It was a long way. My eyes are no good now, so you just call it off the screen. You just have a screen in front of you and you call it. You can't see everything on commentary, but I think the commentary of the Big Bash it's a great crack. It's like you just sat with 2 mates and you're just talking a bit of crap. trying to give it insight. We had a game a couple of nights ago, and I thought Moses Enriques on the mic as a captain gave the best insight that I've heard personally over my time doing T20 cricket. He gave a real insight into what the game's about. There's a
What
bit
did
of
he
serious
say?
stuff for you.
Yeah, but that is good. I think a lot of our generically across broadcasts in this day and age, the player mic'd up out in the field is almost a done thing. I don't think there's a lot that we gain from it, unless it is that type of situation. And if you can get the captain and you're allowed to listen in, which Moses is particularly open to doing, that's amazing. That's TV gold. That's interesting as a observer of the game. But there's a few other aspects of that player contact that we can almost probably shelve, I reckon.
Well, I remember, was it Finchy when he was captaining the Renegades, and he didn't realise that people were listening in, and he just let a few expletives go.
Yeah, but that's understandable. I mean, there was a few thrown out there the other night. One in particular, I think Davey Warner wasn't quite happy with Sam Billings and Tanvir Sangha when the ball just loops in the air and just decided to just let it drop in the middle of them, which was something that I'd not seen before. And Davey understandably, he was skipper, big wicket Moses. It didn't quite go to hand, which you kind of look at. I think that the biggest thing about the T20 game is purely the game. It has to be a good game. I think when you're broadcasting a tight game, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
T20 cricket, when it goes down to the wire, it's an incredible product. T20 cricket down at the CATO, where you know the result pretty much inside the first 6 overs, it's like, just want to get out of there.
Yeah.
But
Well, the
I
way
guess
you guys,
that's the same. I guess that's sometimes the same in Test cricket, 50-over cricket. When it's so one-sided, all you ever want in cricket is a contest. To be really tight.
well, there's a real trend in the sporting landscape called watch-alongs. Have you seen many of these where it's ex-athletes that sit,
Yes.
and rather than commentating, they're literally, it's like you're sitting in a living room while they watch the game. That's much more the feel that you guys do when you call your Big Bash.
Yeah.
Which for me is far more entertaining than the ball by ball, too much
I
analysis.
think there's something in that.
Yeah.
I genuinely think there's a little bit. I saw in the UK there was a watch along Arsenal versus I think it was Man United. Gary Neville, Roy Keane, Ian Wright, Jamie Carragher just sat around the sofa. I think they're having a few sherbets and they're just talking through the game. Maybe that's the future.
Well, I often think, imagine it was a couple of ex-Aussies and a couple of ex-Poms for the next Ashes test, and they're sitting having a beer. And imagine that when Stay in Your Crease Johnny happened. Imagine you had two ex-cricketers having a few beers. How entertaining that would have been.
But can you imagine how drunk you'd be by the end of the day? It's a long day.
Tuffers free.
Tuffers would be outstanding.
Can you imagine the state?
I was just saying, just when you were taking a phone call from your daughter, Vaughany, I actually had a missed call from our boss at Fox Cricket. I'm going to suggest he doesn't watch this podcast because we're basically talking out the broadcast out of society.
It's red button. It's red button. It's an alternative.
You need alternative styles of broadcasting. That's why I love it here in Australia with all the radio broadcasts. So you've got ABC, which is very much your traditional. You've got SEN, which is, I guess, a step from that. And then you've got Triple M, that's just wild. I honestly wish in the UK we just have one radio broadcaster at the minute. The BBC have the rights, Test Match Special, great. But I'd love it to open up so TalkSport could have the English commentary as well, back home. And added to that, there'd be a Triple M style radio broadcast. Just you want to kind of spread your game to everybody. I'd love that in the UK. We could have 3 or 4 different radio stations. It'd be perfect.
There was a brilliant group in New Zealand called I think it was the ACCC, the Alternate Cricket Commentary Collective. Did you ever see any of their work? They would have been calling games you guys were playing in, and it was basically that hit Red, but it was comedy for 5 days, 3 sessions a day, and they were absolutely hilarious. I used to listen to them, and they were sort of the pioneers of that alternate commentary watch along stuff.
There was a few through the Olympics, wasn't there? A few of the the guys on Instagram with their accounts and recording them watching, because you've got to be careful too, don't you? Whether if you haven't got the rights, to be seen to be broadcasting, so to speak. So yeah, there's clever ways to do it. But I tell you what, that even if you have a dud game, I must admit, through the summer, I still turn up. By the time I'm walking in for the next game, my tail's wagging again. Just at that air of uncertainty as about what's about to unfold. Are we about to watch a classic or see something magical? Of course, every game doesn't stand up to that, but the anticipation is always exciting.
Yes, and you do a very good job of making it entertaining. Now, Ollie, I'm aware of the time here. We all have places to see and people to do. No, that's not right. Doesn't matter. Let's. You got a little quiz here for us, mate.
I've got a little quiz. Yeah, I actually dropped out for a couple of minutes there, just when you started talking England, New Zealand. But I imagine you covered off, all of that stuff. I had hours on it. Genuinely, Williamson 5 centuries in a row, set in the record. Crawley, the bunny for Henry 6 times in a row. Southey's retirement. The sexy camel that was given to him by the ACCC. You may have seen he had a big model of the camel at the ground.
Yeah, good gift.
Good gift, but I'm sure you covered all that. So the quiz this week is about Boxing Day cricket, not just in Australia, but in general, Boxing Day Test matches. I have just seen at the top of the article, it was written in 2005. Now, I don't think many of the answers have changed, but just bear that in mind when you're thinking of the answers. This is from 05 on ESPN Cricket Info, so thanks for that.
05 and before.
Exactly. But I have looked at the answers, and I'm sure I've changed one of the questions. I'm 99% sure 4 is still right anyway. Nothing's happened in the last 20 years, essentially, is what I'm saying on Boxing Day.
Right.
I love it when the quizmaster's 99% sure that it's right.
Yeah.
Well, I normally write myself, but there was a one article done for me. Then I was like, there's no recent names here. And then at the top, it just says 2005. But that's fine. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great quiz. We love Boxing Day. Okay. Number 1, and as I say, it's Test matches of Boxing Day around the world. So think about that. There's not just in Oz historically on Boxing Day. So number 1, which batsman has the highest Test score on a Boxing Day Test match? It was 1999 in Durban. So that will help you get an idea. Vaughany?
Gary Kirsten.
1 point. We're just jumping straight in. Gary Kirsten. Correct.
There you go.
Oh, so it's fastest to the buzzer now. So
fastest
I don't get
the button. Yeah, fastest the button.
Did you know that one, Gilly?
Yeah, I knew that.
I got, from your look, I got you 275. Okay, in the same match.
That can I just say that was a game against England, and England asked South Africa to follow on, and he got 275. Phil Tufnell, I reckon he bowled 48 overs or 45 overs in that game. He may have got 1 for. And then Mark Butcher came on bowling filthy off-spin and got a 2 for.
Well, I'm glad you didn't ruin it. It's the second question. In the same match, they were the best ever bowling figures on a Boxing Day Test for 50 years. It was 7 for 46.
Andrew Caddick.
Oh, I mean, yes. Yeah, correct.
I feel like somewhat of a stitch up here. It's
That's 2-0, Gil. That's 2-0.
No, we've got some more Aussie related one that I didn't realise everyone would remember so much. Vaughany, you're very good at quizzing. Number 3.
Well, I was there.
Yeah, I know. Which batsman has the most runs in Boxing Day Test matches?
Matthew Hayden.
Gilly?
Ricky Ponting.
Steve Waugh is the correct answer. 1,261.
Wow.
Ponting was just behind.
Oof.
Yeah.
He would have played about 14 or 15 of them, wouldn't he?
Number 4, Shane Warne has the record for the most wickets in Boxing Day Test matches. In 2005, he was joint most with 43, but I know we got a few more. Who was he joint with? So who's second on that list for
Dennis
Boxing
Lilly.
Day? Sorry?
Dennis Lilly.
Vaughany?
I'm going to go Sean Pollock.
Clary Gremmett.
Alan Donald is the correct answer.
I knew it was a South African.
43. Comfortably second, just behind Shane Warne. So the score is 2-0 Vaughany still, I believe.
Yeah, still 2-0.
2-0 to Vaughany. Yep, so this is a dead rubber, this one here.
Now, this one, triple points. if you get the number right. So it is Australian Boxing Day Test matches in Melbourne. Who has the most defeats?
Ooh.
England.
I would have thought maybe England, but I'll go Pakistan.
Oh, good shout.
Well, this could be controversial. It's actually Australia. But away from them, they've got 8. Next to them, you both are still wrong. It's the West Indies have lost 6 of 7 Boxing Day tests.
Do you think this is one of your better quizzes, Hol?
I was happy with this. I genuinely like this. This is a social. Clip this up.
I think somebody's been at the bar a little bit too much in Hamilton Island.
Humidity up there, I reckon.
Right. Last week, I wasn't even able to do my quiz. That was the best one ever. We ran out of time. So this week, I thought, trying something new. It's backfired, and that's fine.
Where is Hamilton Island, by the way?
North of Brisbane. Whitsundays.
Right. Okay.
Beautiful spot, Vaughany.
Beautiful spot.
Do yourself a favour.
And the golf courses are good up there, Ollie. Yeah, is that right?
Well, it's flooded, but I'm trying to go. It's meant to be very windy, but I'm hoping to get 9 holes in shortly. Yeah, I'll let you know.
Yeah, let us know.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. This is it. This is goodbye. Anybody got any Christmas wishes they want to give to anybody else? Or
actually, I did just check socials. Yeah. We did the predictions on our channels. Was Vaughany 3-1 Australia for the series? Gilly said Sydney would reign, but Australia would get it done 3-2. And Yuvraj went 3-2 India. So Vaughany's still on on our channel's social 3-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a very pro Vaughany podcast for you, Ollie.
Just going through socials.
I did say 3-1 on this. So I think I said a few other predictions on other places. I've kind of covered myself. It's like just betting, isn't it? You just kind of cover the markets a little bit.
Absolutely. All right. Hey, Gilly, want to give us a little Christmas toast there?
Got it here in my fiery little shot glass with my little chili in it. It is.
Hey, Gilly, just go on that tequila. Is that your tequila? Because I know your samples arrived. Is that?
No. My sample has arrived. It's tasting very good, very nice, actually. I'll not unveil it for the purposes of the toast on the podcast just yet.
Yeah.
When it's in production, you'll be well aware of it, and you'll all have it, and we'll all be toasting to it. But for the moment, simple to the festive season. Merry Christmas, all.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Excellent.
Christmas.
That's 7:30 a.m. where I am too. That is.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's the wedding. No wonder you never get ill, Gilly.
Brilliant. If you liked the video, well, first of all, thanks for watching. But if you liked it, give us a like or hit the button below to subscribe. That'd be great.